Welcome to the Discussion Lab, the show where we talk about issues that make us tick as people. I am your host, Sammy Moore.
I want to talk to you about what I have titled Survive, Then Thrive. Survive, then thrive. And let me give you a bit of a genesis of where this idea came from. It stemmed from a couple of things. So first of all, was a conversation I had with a young lady about 1.5 years ago. She was born here in Canada, but her parents migrated from Asia here. And she's really going through, at that point, a hard time where she felt like her parents don't understand her. They don't understand the new culture that she was born and raised in. So at home, she is that Asian girl that her parents want her to be raised and grow up in the norms of their countries where she's originally from. But when she comes out of that door, she has to again be a different person because she's on a new land. She, not new, but necessarily, even though she was born here, it feels like she's stuck between two worlds, right? The world she's currently in and the world that her parents are from to thrive. So I had to share my experiences with her, given that I've lived with parents before who left my home country. And at a point, I also was in a similar conflict, but mainly because I observed a lot of people that I grew to love when I was way back in Germany, and I realized they were in a similar predicament. So I used my observations and lessons learned from those ones to advise her. And then recently, I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of students in McMaster University and also at different time in Mohawk, but the settings were in a way comparably similar, in the sense that the course or the program that I was talking at, there were a lot of international students, and those of them who came with their parents here or who are living with the family here, they feel caught up between two worlds. And so this is where it came up from. And after the event, I went home thinking a lot, because I'm that kind of person that I assess things a lot even after they are over, just so I can learn from it and do better the next time. And this thing just dawned on me: survive, then thrive. We are talking about survive, then thrive. So there's a point in my life when I was an international student, right? And when it comes to finding money for how to live, even though at that point my situation was relatively better than most people, I was schooling in Germany at that time, and education is relatively affordable. It's very, very affordable for someone like me. It was very affordable, and I didn't have to pay rent because I was living with a family then. But at the same time, there were little things that I needed to buy and do, and I didn't have the money. And so in that state, I was doing the student's job, part-time job, manual physical jobs while I was a student, like most international students who probably listen to me. And not only international students, sometimes even home students themselves, right? So essentially it applies to everyone out there. In that state, I called it my survival state, right? Even it got worse when, after I was done with my international program, I needed to find a job for the job to guarantee the visa so I would be able to stay in Germany, right? And it applies in every country that you study in, whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Canada. I realized that at that time I was ready and willing to take any job that will guarantee my stay, because I felt like my opportunities and chances of developing as a person for my future was better in the land I was in than in my country. And that's my truth at that point. And I was in a survival state. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you about: survival and thriving. What is survival? Survival, in my understanding, when I did a bit of reading, is really to stay alive, right? To do everything you can to stay alive, to still be in existence, to have life in you. In any context you are in, when you are surviving, it's just alive. It's not dead yet. So that is what we mean by surviving. You may not be in the best of shape, but you are not dead yet. That is survival. So when I was a student, I wasn't in the best of jobs. I may not have the best of relationships and best of friendships, but I was in a survival state. I just needed to be in existence. I needed to be alive. I needed to make sure that my visa as an international student was working. I needed to be sure that I wasn't failing courses, even though the course was difficult for me. Even though I had to work, even though I lived about 1.5 hours away from my school just because of transportation, I had to survive. And many students out there do that. It's not unique to me. I know many students, whether international, whether home students, who have to survive in that instance. So if you are in a similar state where you just have to be in existence, then know that you are in survival state. The second part is what I call to thrive. To thrive. What is thriving? When I did a bit of research, it said to grow vigorously, right? To flourish, to progress towards your desired goal. When you are in the state of progressing towards your desired goal, then I think that is really, I guess you are flourishing. I guess that you are really thriving because you see the end goal that you wanted, and every progress that you make, every instance you make, it's towards that end goal. And so you see that you are really heading that end goal. Let's take it back to a personal level. When I was talking to this Asian lady I mentioned earlier on in this episode, where she was she felt stuck between two words. And this, I know this because I've spoken to a lot of quite a good number of students or young people who moved to a new country seeking greener pastures, right? A better life for them. And then they brought them along when they were kids, or they gave birth in the new country. So they feel like they are caught between two worlds. What I have observed is that sometimes the parents are still stuck in survival mode. They still are trying to just stay alive, just exist. So they'll take any job, they'll do anything just to stay alive, which is a good thing at the beginning because you need to stay alive for your family, for your partner, for your children. You need to do that because sometimes if you people back home depend on you, you have to send money back home sometimes. In that instance, you have to be in the survival state. What becomes a bit troublesome is when after everything has settled, there are opportunities for them to move to a thriving state. But they've stayed so long in the survival state, which is due to no fault of theirs, that they don't even know that there's even a different state. Even when you put them there, they can't believe it. It feels so unnatural to them. That is not the environment they are used in. And so any least thing, they want to reset back to a survival mode. Some of our parents, and essentially some of us, if we are not careful, we are going to be stuck on survival mode so much that even when opportunities come knocking, in fact come begging, we won't see it because we are still stuck in survival mode. And that's what I want to tell you about, right? So when I was an international student, I did any job I could get my hands on because I needed the money to survive. I needed the money to pay bills. I needed the money to pay rent. I needed the money sometimes to support close family and friends, right? And even though those were not very often, I every now and then needed to do that when the need arises. And there are many people out there who are doing way better than I did, even more difficult situations that I could have. That is the survival state. My blessing was when I was able to pass that and I felt that there was opportunities out there and I could move from survival to a thriving state. I saw that. And so I'm just making you aware that sometimes when you are dealing with some of your colleagues, some of your parents, they are still stuck in the survival mindset. It's no fault of theirs. I'm not saying blame them. I'm telling you this so that you may understand them better. That when they say something or when they behave a certain way, especially for me, I understand that their mind is still stuck in the survival state. When they are in an opportunity, they are in the land where there's so much opportunity that they can grow vigorously, they can flourish, that is thriving. And so, how do you know when you are in a survival environment or survival zone, right? A bit of story. Growing up very, very early in the neighborhood that I grew up, so my direct brother and I were fortunate to see different kinds of neighborhood because we were growing up in the not so best neighborhoods where there was a lot of fight, a bit of drugs, a lot of gang activities here and there. And so our parents were very worrisome. They wouldn't let us go out because they were afraid that we will end up with bad friends or be in the gangs or may not take education serious. They really did everything possible and they did a great job at that we may not get mixed up in the wrong circle. In that instance, they put out on survival mode. If they come and they find you talking to someone you shouldn't be talking to, they had to physically punish you. You may say that's bad, but trust me, in certain environments, they better punish you or it could lead to your death. So which one would you prefer? you spanking your child or just hitting your child, don't do that. Again, that's dangerous for you. If you don't do that, the next time you come, he could be stabbed to death. So that was the kind of environment that we were growing up quickly, and our parents gradually did their best to move to a better and better and better neighborhood. And so we got to neighborhoods where it was easier to go out, we could mingle. Now we realized that, luckily for us, and most often they were able to transition from a survival mindset into a thriving mindset. So these are indicators or signs to be aware when you are in a survival mindset. When you are in constant worry of meeting your basic needs, right? According to the Maslow's theory of need, your basic need, right? Your safety or the safety of those in care. When you are always in worry, am I safe? Is my son safe? I'm leaving my child home. Is the child safe home? While you're in a constant worry of your basic needs, right? Food and shelter. So your safety, your food, your shelter. Every time you are thinking about, have I worked enough? Will I be able to pay my rent? Will I be able to even eat for today or tomorrow or this week? Know that you are in a survival state, or the person you care about is in survival state. The second thing that might be an indicator that you're in a survival state is really when you just take any job just for survival. You don't care about a fit. You just need a job to pay bills, because you need a job to take care of the basic needs. Right? And so that is one other sign that you might be in survival mode. When you just take any job, you are not even in a state to think whether or not you like the job. You just want a job. That is, you are in a survival state. Last but not least would be living paycheck to paycheck with no financial cushion. Not because you have a flashy lifestyle, not because you are living beyond your means. Really, the money is just not enough. Once you work so much, you get paid so little. Rent is expensive, food is expensive, living is expensive. So once the money comes, everything vanishes. That's living from paycheck to paycheck. Then you know that you might be in a survival mind state. And that is okay. Times will get better. It did get better for me. You might think that I'm a lucky one. I might be, but I know that eventually when you keep trying, so long as you don't die or you are not dead. So first you have to survive, right? Be in existence. Eventually things get better. That is what I know. And one thing is, when you get to a phase, you have to know that you may not be in a survival state anymore. You have to be able to recognize your transitioning phase, right? So at any point, assess yourself and use these three things. Are you always still worried about your basic needs, right? Your safety, your food and shelter, that's roof over your head. Once you are not worrying so much about this, perhaps you have guaranteed a place that you can call home, and you can at least buy some basic gari or rice, or the most affordable calorie rich or carbohydrate rich food that you can eat and survive on. My survival food was bread. I ate bread because it was so cheap. It's still affordable, and I ate it so much. So I love bread. Bread is like a savior to me. I ate bread so much just to survive at certain points, right? And that's what I'm saying. When you realize that you are not in the state where you need to always worry about your basic needs, then perhaps you are not in the survival state anymore. So you have to recognize, always be aware, every now and then do a current assessment, right? Current analysis of the state you are in. If you are not in a survival state, then perhaps you might have the opportunity to thrive and move on to the next state, right? And so you always have to reflect on your current state where you are, and then set on new goals. What would you want to thrive on? What new skills, what new product, what new ability would you want to thrive on when you get the opportunity? It's good to dream so that when the opportunity comes knocking, you can easily thrive on. And so today I want to talk to you about surviving and also thriving. Now you know what surviving is, and when opportunity comes, always assess yourself. How did I know that I was not in a survival mode? Like I told you, once I knew that I had saved enough to cover 3 months of rent. I knew that I had saved enough that I could buy tons of bread and rice, and I eat that and I wouldn't die. And I knew that I was in an environment where my life was not at risk being harmed or being attacked. I knew that at least, even though I'm still in a hard time, I started looking for opportunities to thrive. And trust me, they are out there once you go looking. Knock on every door, open your eyes, open your ears, open your heart. Opportunities are out there to thrive. One thing you should know, that many of us are stuck in one role. Some of us are stuck in a survival state and we don't know it. And we think we are in a thriving state and we are behaving as if you're in the thriving state. We are living good. We are living lavishly without cutting down our expenses. We are living so much that our savings is almost done and we are not aware of it. So there may be instances where your situation might change. You might move from survival to thriving and thriving to surviving. What I know is once you stay in thriving for a long time, you should save enough to cover you in case of emergencies. Start from 3 months, then go to 6, then go to 9 months, and potentially a year. And I think once you have something to survive for a year, you are good. Also, develop skills that would make you quickly transferable between jobs, that you should find job quickly. All other things being equal, that's when there's no war or civil uprising wherever you live. I hope that you are getting some value from this, right? Are you stuck in a thriving state and you are behaving as if you are in a survival state? Or vice versa, are you stuck in a surviving state and you are behaving as if you are in a thriving state? This is just my observation that I picked up from between last year and a couple of months ago when I spoke to both young people who are studying here in Canada. And I hope that you get some value from this. Are you in a survival state or are you in a thriving state? Currently, I'm in a thriving state, and so I'm trying to maximize the opportunities out there, learn new skills, develop deeper and wider into my field so that I would flourish and also start adding value to the community that I am in. And this is the idea I have for you. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a naive observer. I know nothing. Peace.